Let's meet this this poor mom, Erin Lee, full-time working mother of 3. Hi, Erin. How are you?
Hi, Glenn. I'm well. Thanks for having me.
You bet. You bet. I read your story, and I just, honestly, I am glad this isn't happening to my children because I don't think I have the restraint to be a decent human being if this was happening to my children. Can you tell us exactly what happened?
Yeah, so last year, my shy, vulnerable, barely 12-year-old daughter, who had just moved to a new school at the height of COVID protocol, was recruited by her art teacher and her homeroom teacher to attend art club after school. So she texted us. We gave our permission for art club. When she got there, it was actually GSA, or Gender and Sexuality Awareness, or Alliance Club. And the teacher had invited in a completely unqualified outside presenter who did unthinkable things with the children. And I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. She told them, what you hear in here, keep in here. She used flags to describe defining words, telling them that if they're not fully comfortable in their bodies, that means they're transgender. And then she would hand out the flags and stickers and bracelets and other swag. She told them that queer is a label for when they're still figuring out their sexuality. She did the genderbread person, which explicitly asks kids who they're sexually attracted to. So 11, 12, 13-year-olds with peers and adults in the room talking about their sexuality. She handed out her personal contact information and invited them to connect on teen chat platforms like WhatsApp and Discord, where she knows that parents are not monitoring the conversation. And she told them that families might not be safe and it's okay to lie about where they are. And in fact, the art teacher, as my daughter was leaving the room that day, pulled her aside and said, remember, you don't have to tell your mom.
Okay, so what happened? You bring this up. I've seen the emails. What has happened?
So thank God my daughter got in the car and I could see on her face when I picked her up that something was wrong. And so we probed, and we're really fortunate that she told us what happened. We've seen all kinds of horror stories about teachers and presenters like this leading kids down this transgender path, leading them into medical transition. So we're lucky we caught it right when it happened.
Heavens.
Somehow remained calm enough to follow the appropriate channels. I mean, we were livid. We were confused. We didn't even believe this was real at first. So our first step was to contact the woman who gave her personal information to my child. And her response was delusional. It doubled down on everything that she did. So we demanded a sit down with the principal, and he confirmed that this, in fact, happened in secret, that they always hold this meeting in secret, because as a public school, they have to offer children a safe space. So essentially a safe space from their families. We took it to the school board. They ignored my pleas for months. When I finally got a sit down with a board member, it turns out she's best friends with the woman who came into the classroom.
Oh, my gosh.
She volunteers with her organization. This woman has an organization called Skittles for kids 5 to 11 to talk about their sexuality and gender identity. And our school board member volunteers with Skittles. So we realized, and again, those FOIA emails showed that they immediately colluded. When I objected to what happened, they immediately colluded with the school board to keep me quiet. They referenced parents who find out as barriers that the school board has removed. They talked about sending social services into my home because I didn't like what they did with my child.
This is really, this one is so far. I mean, all of it is over the line. But when they actually suggest that maybe we need to do a well check on this child, basically internally saying, is there something that the school district can do to put this parent in their place? Maybe they're being abused. This child's being abused. Or maybe because they are transgender and the parent doesn't want to admit it. So we're going to send in a well check team. That is a direct threat to you.
Absolutely. And my daughter had never expressed gender dysphoria before. She never expressed that she'd had any trouble at home. They never spoke to me I never spoke to any of the people that did these things before they decided to talk about calling CPS. I think they knew we were at our most vulnerable moment as a family that they caused. And in the state of Colorado, if my child had said to CPS that I wasn't affirming her transgender identity, I firmly believe they would have removed her from the
Oh,
home.
yeah, they would have.
And the people knew this, right, when they suggested that CPS come to our home to remove our child. And if our child is not under our care, then they have full control of her brain and her heart.
My gosh, Aaron, can you believe you live in the United States of America?
Colorado is off the rails in particular, but this is happening everywhere. I mean, this isn't just unique to California and Colorado. This is happening in conservative states and conservative communities, this kind of secretive sexuality programming and vilifying parents, assuming that parents are evil until proven innocent. It's happening everywhere.
So where does it stand now?
Still has not been addressed. Nothing has
happened. Nothing has happened.
We got a lot of false promises from school administration. A lot of, they showed empathy. And I realize now it was just gaslighting. They realized the repercussions that could potentially happen. And it's happening right now for them. And they tried really hard to keep me quiet by making false promises. But my FOIA requests and their actions show me that it was just gaslighting.
So do you have any other parents that are standing with you?
It felt for a long time like I was alone on an island with this issue, and I wanted to believe it was an isolated incident. And the more we've looked into it, we realized just how deeply this agenda runs in our school district. And obviously the school board is involved. The teachers' unions are involved at the local level, at the state level. So we realized that this is an issue that isn't going away.
The teachers' unions, can you tell me about the involvement of the teachers' unions?
Yeah, well, they're just deeply involved with our school board, with our decisions. The woman who was in the classroom, this outside presenter, is an employee of the county health department. We have proof that she's had multiple meetings with the local school board president. School union president. So we've just realized that they're all deeply entrenched with each other.
So what are you going to do now? I know your child is out at a Christian school doing fine now, but what are you going to do?
Yes, and I have a second grader who remained in the school district for the rest of this year, who will now be moving to a charter school that was founded on, the principles of parental rights, and it's really a pretty conservative school. So we're lucky that we removed our children, but parents need to get louder. Community members, grandparents, we have to speak up, especially at the school board level, and let them know that what they're doing isn't okay. Demand curriculum transparency. Other parents need to get their kids out of this district. It's not safe. So I continue to sound the alarm because we tried every other avenue and it didn't work. I mean, we contacted the police after this happened. Had it been on a playground, that would have been my first call. The only reason I remained calm is because it was with a trusted teacher in a closed setting and I didn't fully understand everything that happened. But the police indicated that because there was no exposure of body parts or physical touch, that there are no legal repercussions. But our sheriff did tell me I need to get loud because just because it's not illegal doesn't mean it isn't wrong. And other parents deserve the opportunity to protect their children like I couldn't.
I'll tell you, listen to your sheriff. Sheriff, that sounds like a good sheriff. What town are you in or what district are you in?
So I'm in the Poudre School District, which is Fort Collins, Colorado. We live in a small suburb outside of Fort Collins, only about 10,000 people. And
isn't that generally
conservative?
Yeah, it's conservative, right?
It is, and so they target our area. Some of those FOIA emails revealed that they realize this is a conservative community, and so they're going to target it and put as much programming in place as they can. And they did. The week after this happened, this same woman was in our Boys and Girls Club with elementary age students. Same thing, don't tell your parents. And some parents found out and raised their concern. Now she's been removed from Boys and Girls Club, but she's in our libraries. She's on our
how
health
can this be in a
department.
conservative community? Nobody is standing up with you.
Well, now they are.
Okay, good.
I think it just has all been so secretive, and that's their intent. And again, in those emails, you can see that they said how we deal with this parent sets a precedent moving forward. So they knew that, they didn't want anyone to find out. And as soon as I found out, they knew that there would be some serious repercussions. And they tried very hard to keep me quiet. But now that this has gained so much attention, there's a lot of people in the community who have spoken up and a lot of parents who have had the same thing happen. I've had multiple families reach out and say, the same thing happened with the same teacher in that school. What do we do? So a lot of people just didn't know. They didn't know to connect the dots.
That is an unsafe,
adults.
that's an unsafe teacher.
Who still teaches and who is still the GSA sponsor at that school.
I mean, because of the teachers' unions, you'll never get rid of them. But, I mean, I am a big supporter of the arts, huge supporter of the arts. I'm an artist myself, and my children's school really, doesn't have, the arts in their school. It's a academic school, so they don't do the arts very well. And I have to tell you, it bothers me, but I would never put my kid in that art class with I think that's an unsafe teacher. When I can't go and meet with a teacher and know that I'm hearing the truth about what my child is doing, I got no time for you. These people think, like Joe Biden said, that these are their children while they're there. No, they're not. You work for me. I don't work for you.
That's the assumption that these children belong to them. And since this happened, our school has hired 3 administrative staff, a chief academic equity, diversity, inclusion officer making triple what a teacher makes. They hired a DEI coordinator, and they hired an LGBTQIA plus coordinator.
In a town of 10,000.
For the school district, but her job description literally says coaching students, advancing LGBTQIA programming, and increasing gender support plans. And I don't know if you know what those are.
I'm not really sure. Can you give me an extra minute? Let me do a commercial and then come back.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Back in just a second. This thing, absolutely. If it's happening in Fort Collins, it's happening everywhere. And what's really disturbing is she's saying, no, we were targeted because we are a conservative district. We're talking to Erin Lee. She's a full-time working mom of 3 and now has another full-time job of just trying to figure out what's happening in her school and school district. I have to tell you, these teachers' unions, if you are a teacher and you are still paying your dues, and parents, start telling your teachers this. If you are still paying dues to a teachers union you don't have to belong to, you're part of the problem. I don't care how great you are, how trusted you are. I cannot trust you if you're still helping fund this kind of stuff. Anyway, Erin, welcome back.
Yeah.
So you were saying this new gender equity consultant at the school is doing something that I don't think I've heard of. What was it?
Gender support plans, and they're secretive. So I'm not shocked that you haven't heard of them, but everyone needs to be aware because they do these everywhere. It's not just here in Colorado. It's happening everywhere. These gender support plans are essentially transition plans for children. So written plans to transition their gender, and usually these happen in secret. The gender support plans have verbiage for the educators to gauge parents' support, and if the support is low, they don't tell them. And it's happening in our elementary schools here, and this person was hired to increase gender support plans, so secretly transitioning kids in our public schools.
This is evil. This is just straight up evil. It is. I mean, who do you think you are? And to keep it secret, that's the problem. You want a transition plan? Great. Present it at the school board hearing. Let the community see it. And then if you want to protect the kids, their identity while they're doing it, how can you do that? How can they transition and keep it from the kids at school? They'll just keep it from the parents. My gosh, this is evil. Just evil.
Right. And not just that, this LGBTQ coordinator and our director of student services and other school staff have directed all nurses in our district to, first of all, if a child comes to you for anything, ask their pronouns. So if a kindergartner has a tummy ache, first question is, okay, what's your pronoun? If I call home, what name do I call you? But they've also been instructed to not tell parents if a child is suicidal, cutting, or
Oh, my
attempting
gosh.
suicide.
Oh,
So now
my
we're keeping
gosh.
suicide attempts from parents as well.
And what is the reason for that?
Because parents aren't safe. Parents might not be safe. So if we tell parents that this child is suicidal, it's going to make it worse.
Get
So we're just
your
gonna assume
kids
they're all
out of schools. Get them out of these schools. Vote for people that will give school choice, and the money will follow the children. This has got to stop. It's got to stop. Aaron, you contact me anytime that you need some backup reinforcement. You need people to know about something. You call me anytime, all right?
Thank you. I will.
God bless you. Thank you so much. Aaron Lee in Fort Collins, Colorado. Where are you, parents? Where are you, conservatives? Are you standing up